Singing Baby Shark.
Okay, we are recording. All right, Baby Shark. Yeah, good stuff. All right, as always, I am Brian Kynes with the Cold, the creator of the Tales of Ulran storyline and campaign setting. We use Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition to play through and tell our story, and the awesome folks all along me here help create it one game at a time. So, having said that, we have over here to my side Jeremy Keaton. Jeremy might have to be on call later, and we'll get just video from Jeremy if that happens. Directly beneath me is Sean. We played the role of Sha-dae. Same with him. Everyone's it's summertime, getting there. Everyone's doing double shifts and trying to collect whatever money they can. And then in the corner is going to be Heather and Kara playing the roles of Sylowen and Tamyra. And after talking a little bit about it, it seems that Tamyra might have the passageway for us, or the path set as far as what the group is going to do moving forward. So, having said that, we'll go ahead and get into this. Now, as always, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what happened about 2 weeks ago, and we'll kind of decide from there. I know a lot of you all got paid. I think, Sylowen, was it you that didn't get paid because no one knew exactly where you were?
Oh, she got paid.
I got paid, and I tried to give half my money away, but Sha-dae wouldn't let me.
That's right. That was awesome. And the conversation that Sha-dae had with you was classic. I remember now. Okay. And hopefully you guys have that amount written down. And we've talked about roughly how currency works, what you can and can't do with it, things of that nature. So I think the last thing we did was Sha-dae running down the street, following the trail of happy people. It just kept on popping up left and right. It was an easy trail to follow. I think, was the whole group there at Vander's to receive this payment, or where was everybody at exactly?
I believe everybody was there, close by.
Okay.
I had met with Valdara, and we were like walking towards the ship or whatever, and she was going to fill me in on the adventure we were about to go on.
Okay. So after the money was collected and things of that nature, you had said you went back to the heart of the beast, and you saw it bustling, people moving in and out, Winona shouting off orders to people, talking about what kind of supplies we need, things of that nature. And Valdara was in the process of either helping load things up or making plans and preparations herself, correct?
Correct.
And what was the brief bit of conversation you had with her there, if you can remember?
It was short and sweet, like, what trouble are we about to get into? There, I was like, I'll fill you in on the way. And then we kind of ended there.
Okay, cool. That leaves it open-ended. Sean, I never really talked about how many blocks it took you to chase down Sylowen, because she was moving. She had money to give out and swift feet, man. So I'd say just a couple blocks. You'd probably still be on the first level of the city. So to organize this, let's just go ahead and say this. Does everyone plan on either stocking up on supplies or going out to eat later, or doing something now that you have your wealth? What would your characters want to do now that they've acquired this? I know Tamyra's going to be there, but the trick is getting folks to her without me saying, hey, poof, you're all in the same room, without being that generic about it. So, Brahmus, in your case, had there been any mention about what you want to do moving forward with your character?
Me personally, thinking about it, about the only thing that I had been thinking about was possibly looking into upgrading some equipment.
Okay.
Specifically looking more towards getting a larger shield.
Okay.
I couldn't recall how the radiant shield, if it was more like buckler size or if it could be whatever size I'd want it to be.
it would be something where you'd have to investigate and figure out how to make it bigger on your own, or
Right.
purchase one to carry physically on you. What were you thinking about doing there?
Just if it's something that I can get an idea that I can actually upgrade or have a different control over, that's the route I would go with it.
Okay, so I'll say for now that you are studying, let's say in the lobby area of Vander's, and remember you've got a bunch of books on all this new information. We'll just put you there at ground zero. That's going to be the place Brahmus is. Like if this were a video game, this is where you would pick up Merc's character. He would always be hanging out here. And I'm going to say you're going through a search not only to find out about this Valkyrie thing, that, oh my gosh. Why can I not remember her name? I'm brain farting. What the little girl gave you the books for. Okay. Ember, yes. Yeah, no, my daughter's character. Yeah. For some reason, I'm going. It's the Zyrtec. It causes drowsiness. It warned me not to operate machinery. This laptop is a machine. So here you go. But yeah, you have a lot to research there. And if you want to tell Vander about exactly what you were trying to do, maybe he could guide you in a direction. Okay? So I'll put you there at ground zero for now. It's a nice spot. With Sylowen, I'm going to put you at the end of your conversation with Sha-dae. Okay? Because now that, and I think we did persuasion checks, it's been reasonably figured out that you're not wanting to just throw your money to everybody. Not that you don't want to, but
that there's a smarter way to do it.
Yeah, you understand there's a reason why you wouldn't, and Sha-dae has opened you up to broader horizons. So, in that moment, you have a couple options. Excuse me. You can try to find you a place to stay here. Okay, that could be with Ignatius. That could be in one of the rooms up above the Drunken Mug. They have rooms in what is the difference between a hotel and a motel? A hotel is a place where you can stay for months at a time, correct?
I thought it was the opposite.
Is it an opposite? Okay, so the motel is the one you can stay for a long time. Okay, so they have rooms of that nature there. That's where Danny's character lives most times. That's a place. Vander may know of a place. Tamyra and Valdara live in places above the heart of the beast. That's where they work and where they're given a place to stay. So that might be an order of business for you to figure that out with your money. Okay? If there's anyone particularly you want to cling to, and you are also right beside Sha-dae, which you know lives on an airship. And that may not sound horrible to you either. So you have endless possibilities here as far as what you want to call your base, where you want to make your home here in this place. So having said that, and that kind of washing over you and realizing, unless I get into something, I really don't have anywhere to go here. You know that you liked Danny's place on the ship. You liked where Dorbach was, or not Dorbach, Dahan. Okay. So what are Sylowen's thoughts right now? What are you wanting to kind of make a place where you can hang your dragon wing helmet, so to speak?
I think Sylowen's going to take the most difficult route and probably go towards her own place at the motel.
Okay. Are we thinking you're going to look at some other random spots and I can roll for that, or do you want to try to go above the heart of either the heart of the beast or the Drunken Mug or something that you already know?
Yeah, the Drunken Mug. I would probably check that out.
Okay. Well,
Very Sylowen of you.
Yeah, it's very Sylowen of me.
It is, absolutely. God, she's going to just turn into a nightmare. It's going to be bad. So having said that, Sean, are you still with us to a degree?
Yes, I am.
So as you go to walk off and tend to the dreadnought and head back to the ship and decide how you want to divvy up your money and how you want to deposit it and save it. And there's a couple different places you would like to donate to that I won't mention here that are part of your kind of side deal.
Yeah.
You walk off and you see Sylowen just kind of standing there with this very comically curious look on her face, almost like she was drawn this way, with her finger on her chin, and she's kind of looking around, and you see her looking up, and this is like little girl, big city in the movies, okay?
Uh-huh.
And you can see the wheels turning from the conversation you just had with her, but you just don't know if they're turning in the right direction. Do you have any particular reaction to that? Because, it dawns on you, you're walking off, and she's just left standing there, just kind of looking at the rooftops and kind of looking around like a tourist that doesn't know where the rooms are.
And okay, so Sha-dae is look, Sylowen. Just want to say, set limits because takers don't have any. Okay.
Because what?
So set limits because takers don't have any.
Takers don't
Anyway. Anyway, what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
I guess I'm gonna go find a place to live, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, if you can't find one or one that's suitable, you're welcome to come with the dreadnought.
I've never been. Have I been on an airship? I don't know.
You have. Well, remember, you weren't in that one, but when you first came over here, you flew on a very small airship. That's how you first arrived to the city and saw the frostworm attack down the bottom. So you've been on one, and it was fascinating.
Okay, yeah, so I was very fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So I would potentially think about it.
Okay. So with that, Sha-dae, are you headed to the dreadnought, or do you have anywhere else you'd like to stop on the way?
Sha-dae will just tell her, well, if you do decide on the dreadnought, it's not going to be as, frilly as some other places. It's very practical. But
I don't care much for thrills and stuff. I'd rather eat good food and pay less in rent.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to be doing some shopping in the general area, and I need to find Tamyra. Speak with her about something.
Okay. Tamyra would be back at that place. So if you want to, I can briefly go into this of Tamyra a little bit and have you arrive. Does that sound okay?
Sounds fine.
Okay. And Jeremy, an 8 point here, if there's something you want to talk about, let me go through a scene here and I'll get back with you, okay? Okay. So, Tamyra, here's what you have found out so far about what's going on in this place. Valdara seems to be extraordinarily motivated here. She is glad to be working and it being something for the company, for the Heart of the Beast, not just her own personal mercenary shit that gets her hurt. And she doesn't seem like she's been drinking the last couple days, doesn't seem to have the dark rings that she's had before. And she has a couple different things laid out on this one of the bigger tables inside of the Heart of the Beast, one of the wooden tables that's inside. The fireplaces are not ripping, roaring at this point. The sun's out and shining, melting a little bit of the snow that's on the ground. It's probably in the mid 50s outside right now. It's a pretty nice day. And because of that, everybody's hustling and bustling, and it was a good day to pay you guys and things of that nature. Okay? So it's interesting to see how Valdara, her mind works, because you've seen her for years, and you are by far, and you know this, although you would never rub it in, you are a much more efficient, more intelligent person than she is, and you know this. But there is a method to her madness. It never ceases to amaze you, the little intricate shit that she finds out by setting things up kind of like savant style. Okay? And as you see her at the table, you see her with a couple different books. She has two large claws that look to be about, I would say, every bit of 9 to 12 inches long that have been fashioned with runes, and they have a chains attached through them, and they are hooked up to the end of what appears to be a flail or some older out of commission weapon that is laying across the table. And she's studying the shape of these claws, and she's looking at all these different kinds of things. And she has water that she's actually drinking out of a semi-transparent glass that she's drinking it from. And she's delved into this. And as Wynonna is back there yelling at that half-orc that she usually goes through, talking about what she's going to do with the parts of this new bounty, you hear her talk about large feathers. You hear her talking about 3 different forces to be reckoned with. And then lastly, you hear her say something like this one, Valdara should be taking very personally. Those are phrases that are coming out as Wynonna's back there just bickering and talking as loud as she normally does. Gwenyth seems to have 3 or 4 different long lances that have ropes attached to the back of them that she is bundling up, and she is walking over to see you as you're standing in the doorway. She leans them up against the edge, and she looks down to you. She's about 7.5 foot tall with the front legs of the horse and everything. And she takes that steel gray and white hair and flips it over her shoulder. You remember who this is, played by Robin Wright. And she gives you a knowing look. And she looks over at Valdara. And she looks at you, and she comes in a little close, and she whispers to a degree, or talks lower as not to distract Valdara, which seems very intent. She goes, I think we have the hunt part of this covered. The problem's going to be knowing how to get where we need to go. This isn't a place we could get to easily by ship. This is going to take more. But thankfully, it would seem that you've been dealing with people that have means. And to pull this one off, Tamyra, I'm not above having the heart of beast ask for favors. She says it cuts into what we'll make on this one. But if this is right, and this is going to turn out to be what I'm thinking it's going to turn out to be, this could be a game changer for us. I'm talking more people. I'm talking bigger bounties. But once again, I know there's been a lot of mischief up in Skywatch over the last couple of days with Galeandra falling ill, and Aeolus losing the service of his gunner, which is that small, what the hell was his name? So many names. But the small gunner, like bombardier, like steampunk dwarf that worked on Aeolus' ship. Dauntus, that's his name. She goes, I don't know if they're up for such a trial. We have enough now to pay a ship or an airship to get there. But there's just one problem. And as she says that quietly, Wynonna walks by and interrupts her and goes, we don't have enough to pay him to get back. Big problem. And she yells it out as she walks by, and Gleander just kind of rolls her eyes and looks at her and says, as my employee just stated elegantly, we don't have enough to pay them to come back.
Tamyra jumps in and says, this, business-wise seems like a solid investment to make. We're expecting to earn more in the future. Lucky for you, I just got paid pretty well today. So I would be happy to invest to help get us back if needed.
I'll draw up the paperwork for you. It should be modest, and the returns on it, if you all can deliver on slaying the creature in question, is going to be I'll let Valdara handle telling you about that part. And she puts her hand on your shoulder and she nods and she goes, thank you. When this grows and gets bigger, the four of us, we're going to be wealthy. Now, here's something very interesting about Gwenyth. You believe in different nights. There's one particular night when you and Valdara were pretty much fucked up. You guys were drunk. And you were in there talking about things. And you happened upon Gwenyth reading old letters and notes with kind of tears in her eyes, but tears of joy. And she tried to pull this tough kind of warrior woman thing, and she kind of wiped them off and didn't want to talk about what she was reading. And you girls were, it's kind of like a girls' night where you guys are like, go on, tell us, what's his name? Come on, what's your letters? And she just kind of brushed it off. Well, Valdara got drunk as shit one day and went up there and grabbed some of those letters.
Rude. God damn,
Right.
Valdara.
That's how she is. That's how she is. And you would have been just like that, Tamyra. You'd been like, I don't like this. You're crazy. But you, at the same time, the smile on your face, right now, even Kara tells me, Tamyra would have wanted to know, though, what was going on. So Valdara says, all right. You know, she's drunk. She goes, I'll be the bad bitch. I'll be the one that does this. And you could just listen and then say a prayer and heal a debt or something, whatever makes you happy. These were letters from the king, King Omadon, talking about his love for her when they were younger.
Scandalous.
Yeah. So, in the back of your head, I want you to keep in mind that King Omadon and her fought against giants in the last great war that happened together as younger people. And there was some kind of relationship involved there that wasn't allowed to happen. You know, I mean, him being the young king and getting ready to move in those footsteps and things of that nature. And of course, the racial differences as well. But there was something between the two of them. And you know that she could ask favors of him if she really wanted. She could have a ship to go do this. But she is dead set, very much like you are, on being an independent person. She doesn't, yeah, turn that down, please. Okay. Just like you, she doesn't want people's affection for her to dictate her success in life. And you two share that bond together as two women that are going through that same thing. Okay. So when she's asking you to see if you could ask a favor for someone for a ship, you know she's fighting the urge to be like, I could just talk to the king and call a favor. But she won't do that because she's has too much self-respect. I just kind of wanted to throw out a little side story at you. Okay. If the letter ever got back to where it came from, you don't know. Valdara never talked to you about it.
Gotcha.
Okay. At that point, you see a not so familiar, but familiar at the same time face walk up the first set of steps to go on the front covered patio of this place. Snow melting off the roof because of the water going into rain buckets out front. There's a lot of that sound outside as Sha-dae walks up the stairs and looks in and sees you and Gwenyth having this somewhat quiet conversation, and the silence being broken like shattered glass by Wynonna. And that's the first thing you hear, Sha-dae, as you're going up the front doors, like, we don't have enough to pay him to come back, is the thing that you hear. What are you doing, Sean?
Who's talking about what about pay? Who's not
Tamyra,
getting paid?
Tamyra, do you have something to add to this?
Mara goes, oh, Sha-dae, you just can't get enough of me. What do I owe the pleasure?
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that ship vessel thingy that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, we're actually talking about that adventure now. Would you like to join our conversation?
Sure.
And then I'm assuming Gwenyth does not know Sha-dae.
Gwenyth does not. Gwenyth gives you a knowing nod. In turn, she goes, I'll go to gather some more things. Let me know how this goes. And she
Gotcha.
gives you a wink, and she walks off. Okay? You guys go ahead and have a conversation. I know, Kara, that you don't know much about the ship and the things of that nature. So when it comes to that, I'll fill in the blanks for you to kind of give you some backstory on what Tamyra is doing, who she's working with, and things like that. But remember, it's a seagoing vessel called the Tiger's Eye that you have control over, or you have been given control of it because it was taken from a villain in town, and the king gave it to you and the Heart of the Beast to use for shipment and supplies. So that was the king's way of throwing a favor at Gwenyth, but tying it to a deed that was done for the city at the same time. So there you go. Go ahead, Sha-dae. You guys have your conversation. If you need me to intervene, just let me know.
So Tamyra says, as you can see, this place, we're getting ready to go on a big trip. There's kind of a lot at stake right now. If we come back with a win, we're going to be set up for the future. So the more the merrier at this point, if you're interested in coming.
Where are we going? I mean, I'm also interested in this setting up for the future business.
QDM.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
So the ship itself, the Tiger's Eye.
You said QDM. I thought you was like QDM was like a name of a place.
QDM.
That's where we're going.
It's a rare neurological disorder where you don't know when it's your turn to speak. It's a QDM.
QDM.
It's and I'm writing that down as a title
Name
of the episode.
Episode, yes.
Absolutely. Let's spell that QUIDEM.
I think it's QUE.
QUEUE. Like
No, that's like a line.
oh, so Q would be
Q or is it CUE? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's CUE.
CUE DM. QDM.
We got there.
And do you want me to do DM like a doctor's like DM on the end of it, or do you want it to be just the letters DM?
I like the doctor version.
Okay, we'll do that, yeah. QDM or QMD. Suffering from loss of social interaction. QMD. I like it. It's good stuff. Okay. God, and people are going to see that on YouTube and be like, why am I watching this? What the hell does this have to do with that?
How did I get here?
That's when you went down the rabbit hole and you've had way too much to drink. You just need to go to bed.
True.
Quick before we move forward. Hey, Alex.
Welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh man.
Who's got the cops outside? Is that got to be Sean?
Yeah.
I know you live by the road.
Us.
Right on. Okay, so Alex, everyone got paid. Let's see. You are still on the dreadnought, bouncing back and forth between it and the Lylung, tending to Gleandra, helping her heal from the trauma and the wounds that she suffered while she had that mask stuck on her, that cursed item. Okay?
Okay.
I'll give you a little scene here real quick to kind of get you involved in what's going on. You were with the group. I think Oma showed up to get paid. Did she not? Was she at Vander's with the group? Okay. So at this point, being D&D, you have all the options in the world, but you would have a responsibility to go back, give some money to Aeolus. I know you mentioned something about possibly helping Dahon pay off his debts to society. Medelia is trying to do research to better equip the ship to make it more defensively capable. You also have a responsibility to Dr. Gleandra. So where is the first place that Oma would like to go once she accumulates this wealth at the get-together?
I think first, it's probably been a while since I was over to see about Gleandra, so I'd probably stop off there.
Okay, so let's go ahead and say that you've done that and you've went up through Skywell and you are getting into the airship port of Skywatch and you are headed onto the ship. Now you'll still notice that her ship is fairly vacant and it's not out of commission as far as being broken, but it is not being chartered right now. It is just down in the port lately, ever since this attack happened just the other day. It is a quiet place where people are somber, people are suspicious of each other. Aeolus and her getting together and working together on the same team has a lot of people whispering and talking about a monopoly that's possibly going to start happening soon. And when you are a part of that, people look at you a little long, like people hanging out in front of the crow's nest and people that are signing up to be on ships. Like we said, when you go up and down Skywell, there's always recruitment booths and people recruiting with different banners for the different ships to get random crew members. People give you a long look and you hear the name Gwenyth and things being whispered as you go by. It's like, do you think she'll ever sail again? Do you think Aeolus will take the ship? What do you think? What happened to the drowned kiss? No one's seen him. You know, things like this you're always catching the whispers of. As you head to the ship, you see Gwenyth leaning over the balcony. As we talked about earlier, I don't know if you were on yet, it's a fairly nice day for this time of year. It's about mid-50s, and a lot of the snow is running off. Who is this? Galaxy 10 Plus entered the waiting room.
It's me. I gotta hop on video or voice. I gotta run.
I was like, sounds like a fancy person. Okay. It's like Galaxy 10. He's. I didn't know that was Brahmus's real name. You saw it etched in there on him. You're like, that's his name. Yeah, Galaxy 10. Shit.
He's a Samsung model.
I like it. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
I'll be back on video here within an hour or so.
You do what you gotta do, bud. We're good. Thanks, Jeremy. Okay. So, as it being a nice day, and I'll mention this to you as well, just for some atmosphere. A lot of the snow is melting off the decks and the railings of the airships, but it's beautiful because this water just drops off of these floating vessels in these streams like gutters on a house with no ground beneath it. You just see these long streams of running water that comes off this airship. It just falls what seems to be hundreds upon hundreds of feet down below to the city below. It's almost like rain as you're walking up Skywell and you look at all the streams coming off the city from above. It's a very unique thing you've not seen much of before. When you head up to the ship, Gwenyth has her hood off, and the serpents that make up her hair are all laying dormant and down her back. They are banded together by a leather strap, so it's almost like a long ponytail that she would have of these serpents. And she is holding her head up, absorbing a little bit of sun, with her hands and her elbows into her side on the railing of the ship, looking away from you with her legs crossed. Just seems like she's trying to get some fresh air. And it gives you a bit of concern that she's up and out of bed, but immediately it's replaced by encouraging thoughts. That's a very strong move for her. You know what I mean? What would you like to say to her, or what would you like to do, actually? You can go kick her in the butt over the railing. It's D&D. You do what you got to do, Alex. It's all good.
Oh gosh.
Game of Thrones, the things I do for love. And over the railing she goes. It's terrible. That show's terrible. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I would go up to her and ask how she's doing.
Okay. Roll me a charisma check. The higher, the better that you are able to convey this and talk to her. You're a people watcher. And we've talked about that with Sha-dae, knowing what Sha-dae's true form really is. You work on your etiquette very well. And I'd like for you to roll to see how this comes across.
Okay. Alright. So 12.
Okay. This comes off just a little bit better than average, just so you guys understand about how DCs work. I don't know if we've ever really actually talked about it. A 10 is being able to pull off a basic function proficiently. 15 is to do something that has some challenge but be able to pull it off. 20 is able to do something that is very impressive that you would brag about for at least a year of time. It's something, when you get up into 25s and 30s, this is like Olympic level shit that is going to set a record for a long time. This is picking a lock, hanging upside down, blindfolded like Houdini. So a 12 is just 2 above basic. So you're able to pull this off with some poise, but you can't find the poetic words you want to come up with. Okay? But you're just kind of go up to her and you're saying, how's it going? How you doing? How you feeling? She doesn't look back to you, but you can see a smile off the side of her cheek, and you can see a long dimple line form as she's looking out. And she takes a little bit of snow off the railing that's melting away, and she holds it in her hand as it starts to drip. And she holds her hands back, and 1 or 2 of the serpents' heads turn and lap up the water out of the little cup of her fingers that she's made, like they're just these little pets of hers. And she says to you, without looking at you, Oma, she says, "Are you being forced to do this? Clearly you know I'm a monster."
I'm not being forced to do anything.
She kind of smiles and she goes, "I wish that were true. I wish more of us did things of our own free will." She says, "Aeolus has asked you to be here, correct?"
I don't quite remember, did he?
Kind of, yes. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Once a month, I know it's rough. Kinda. Your and Aeolus's relationship is very, very cool, where he would never have to ask much of you that you weren't willing to do anyway. He knows that you work for him. He knows that he saved you, and by the old rules, you would be working for him, and he would own your contract. But he also knows the shit that you've been through, and he would do anything to avoid treating you like you were a possession. Instead, he will suggest things and wink at you cleverly and steer you in a direction, so he doesn't have to show you the same ugly side as he might have to do other employees. Like he doesn't have to give you shit like he does Dahon to do the right thing. You naturally are pulled towards it. Okay? So on this note, I would say you were thinking about doing it, and when he asked you to watch over her and help her heal, it was very simple, and he didn't even have to finish the sentence. So you can answer how you'd want to based on that.
So while he wanted me to do so, it was my choice to in the first place.
She says, and she turns and she looks at you, and that grin is there, but her eyes are stone. Very hard, with this grin on her face, which looks a little bit like a psychopath, to tell you the truth. And when she turns over to you, and you see the 2 serpents of her hair, you can't help but focus in on them. Their tongues are licking each other's heads, trying to get the last bit of water before she takes her fingers and goes like this, and they lay back down normally. What do I hear in the background there? Because you don't giggle that easily, Alex. What the hell am I missing? Oh God.
So my parents are talking back and forth in the background.
Yeah.
And my dad let one rip.
That's outstanding.
Sorry.
Okay. No, that's perfectly fine. I love her hesitation too. That was good. That's dramatic effect. Hey, she's telling the truth. She's telling the truth. So anyway, and I know these people, Heather and Kara. I've met her folks, so I know the place that this rippage is coming from. So anyway, moving forward, with that, she says to you, she goes, I would rather, for my own conscience, and she looks at you mesmerizingly, I would like to pay you from my own pockets, from my own portions, to do this. Because, to be honest, between the two of you, I'm tired of owing people favors. I'm in the business of having people owe me favors. You understand?
Yes.
She says, so find out for me what it is Aeolus has been paying you for, let's say, the last month. And I'll need that information. And when that comes through, I will recover and I will pay you for the next month. And if those are my conditions. Okay. Now, in the back of your head, you don't really ever get paid by Aeolus. You just pretty much get what you need and want. You're a very self-sufficient person. You're allowed to whatever you want to on the ship. He doesn't ever go into that with you. But if you asked him, I'm sure he could give you a figure. Aeolus is very good with money and numbers. Okay? But she asked for that. And she goes, and one other thing.
What?
And she takes a step towards you, borderline awkwardly close. Oh my, and you can do whatever you want to her. You can punch her in the gut, be like, back off! You can do whatever you got to do. But when she does and she looks down upon you, she goes, I didn't become named the basilisk for no reason. And you can see her hair move a little bit, but everything's back behind her as one of those serpents crawls up over her shoulder and kind of lays its head there and looks at you, emotionless with clouded over gray eyes. Okay? She goes, I learned from my scars. So whatever healing it is that you're doing, know this. I don't want all of it to be dissolved from me. Thus I forget the lesson.
Okay.
A little bit of this pain, I think, will do me some good. Now, you know the nature of curses. I would like for you to do a perception check, please.
Okay. Nine.
Okay. You're not sure if this is the after effects of the mask talking through her, wanting that power back again, or if this is just a very strong woman saying that she wants a little bit of a reminder of what she's been through. And you can't help it with a 9 to have some of that worry on your face. And as she sees this on you, she reads you like a poker player. And she chuckles a little bit, but not in a humorous way, with a sarcastic way. And she goes, not to worry. She goes, I don't mean any harm to anyone here anyway. And that worries you a bit. And she turns back to absorb the sun a little bit. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, that is concerning.
At least you know it's not you. And
Right?
right? And as she says that, she says, just remember to bring me the paperwork. And I'll be laying down for another nap in about 3 or 4 hours or so, depending on what the sun does here today. I'll expect to see you then.
I'll be there.
And then she goes back to admiring the sun on this rare occasion. From there, where would you like to go? Into the actual bowels of the ship, play some things out, talk to Aeolus, or are you wanting to go? There was talk about a possible quest that people were going to be going on at the Heart of the Beast after everyone collected their money. There's that going on. There's all kinds of things going on. What particularly would you like to be doing?
I would like to talk over with Aeolus some things, including what in the world to do with that much money.
Okay. Excuse me, guys. I have a cold. So let's just say, roughly for the hell of it.
Sha-dae has a suggestion what to do with all that money.
Yes, he does, but she's not there. So I'll roughly do this to kind of get through this, and then we'll move back on to what everybody else is doing there, okay? I have a way of tying you into this, Alex, and we're going to do it. I'll guide you through it. Roll me a 1d20 plus your charisma bonus. Please tell me what you get.
19.
Did you say 15?
19.
19. Very good. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Natural 19. So you are feeling more confident than normal talking with Aeolus. When you ask him for this so-called paperwork, he, of course, tells you the basic shit that we don't have that kind of thing between us. You would go through and say, that's not what I need it for. Would you choose to tell him why you need it, or do you want to keep that a secret between you and Gleandra?
Let's see.
Because if you don't tell him why you want this money, he may think maybe she's wanting to go work somewhere else. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's more to Miss Innocent Oma than meets the eye here, and that might play to your favor. Or you can be completely transparent about it. It's completely up to you. I mean, I just want to give you the option.
Okay. I think I want to be transparent about it.
Okay. So as you are, he chuckles. He goes, excuse me for the metaphor, Aeolus says, but even if you create the perfect environment for a serpent, it still wants to be free of its glass box. Always licking the sides, always searching for a way out, and she's no exception. He goes, I hope that this move of mine to be helpful to a fellow captain and someone that I have respect for doesn't turn her sour towards us. I feared that could happen, but at the end of the day, we still gave an effort, didn't we? And hopefully, if it ever comes to it, she'll remember that moment of kindness. She goes, I'll give you the estimate. It's higher than you might expect. And I just want you to know, Oma, I've been saving some. I know what you use and what you need on my ship, and it's very little. And every once in a while, maybe I'll put a little bit towards Dahan's, ever-growing debt to me. But if ever needed, I have a stockpile of what you would have been owed. He says, I'll get that paperwork to you within the hour. Dantus is actually healing quite well, thanks to, do you remember the Thundercracker, the old dwarf that brought him back? He played by Robert Duvall. You did the animate dead on Dantus when he was on the ship deck, the little steampunk dwarf that's a gunner. Okay.
I remember that part.
Okay, yeah, and you were busy elsewhere, but you didn't have the magical ability to completely revive him. What you cast on him let him be revived longer on. Gave the window of opportunity some length to it. And there's this old dwarven guy that works on Aeolus' ship called the Thundercracker. And he has a warhammer. He's a very old white-haired dwarven cleric. And he is the Grand Pumbaa. He's like a level 17 cleric. He's like 360 years old. And you don't see him but very rarely. and he's the one that's brought Dauntus back completely. He's someone that you could learn some things from if you ever sought him out. Okay, he's played by Robert Duvall. Of course, who had his secondhand lions and all that shit. So, with that, we'll go ahead and say that Aeolus hands you a form, and you recognize the symbol on the top of it. It is the symbol of a centaur holding a lance, and it has a ribbon running down through the side of it that says the Heart of the Beast. And he says, this came not to me directly, but was put on the flyer board outside for possible contracts to be picked up. And you know that in the middle of the port city up here in Sylowen and Sha-dae, you guys are all familiar with this place. There's this large podium where they usually hand out awards or they do auctions for jobs, and ship captains can come and bid. And there's these large pillars there that are the massive old airships that are propped up there. And almost like, in Bloomington or any city where there's a lot of music, everyone's always stapling flyers and shit to them, and they're just covered, and they're always having to strip them down. So this looks like it's been ripped off and freshly put up there. This is the Heart of the Beast asking for a contract to travel to a place called Tadala. It's southern. It's past Thornwood, which is where that rod is coming up from the south. Roll me a history check, Alex. And just roll me a history check, and then we'll get into getting the group together. Okay? Aeolus would mention to you that it's strange that this didn't come straight to my hands. I think people know that Sky Watch is weak right now. But Daehon grabbed this in the morning after he had some breakfast and brought it to my attention in the hopes that we could possibly jump on this, as I know that we've had alliances with some of the people there at the Heart of the Beast, namely Valdara, Tamyra, and them. Okay. What was your check?
13.
13. You know enough to know that you have seen the name Tadala's Feast on one of the main courses at Leah's restaurant. You know this is the homeland where Leah's from, which in our culture resembles Zambian. She seems to be a Zambian, borderline Zambian, and with a touch of ancient Mayan to them. They dress colorfully. They have a lot of stone architecture. They have that African accent that's, when they speak in common, they sound very, very, I don't want to say, they have very, very proper English, but it has that accent. You ever watch Trevor Noah on the Daily Show? Yeah, he'll do that accent where he's talking about his mom. Goes, no,
I
Trevor.
love that accent.
Yeah,
It's so
no,
fun.
Trevor, we don't do that. No, we don't. It's that accent that Leah has and they've had. And I've said it, and I've tried different accents for Leah, and I'm sticking with that one. It's Zambian, damn it. Zambian. So, and I'm working on learning how to do that accent. This ginger, it's going to take some time. So just theater of the mind, people, okay? But that's going to be the area this contract would be for. It would be a decent voyage, and from what Aeolus has pulled in the past, this would be profitable for you all. So he asks you if you would take that contract down to the Heart of the Beast and give a bid on it. And he writes up a couple numbers, and he slips to you on a piece of parchment that he has folded in the shape of like a semi-envelope, and he hands it to you. And he says, there are 2 numbers on this paper, Oma. And I know we care about these people. He grins at you. He says, but we would like to stick to the highest number, if at all possible. And that would be our bid on this job. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Can't have Daehon getting in and out of jail if we bid the lowest number. It's important that we get some money. And he smiles and says, let me know how that goes. And I saw you talking with her on the ship over there next door. How's that going?
Better than expected. She's making good progress.
He says, well, we don't want you to spoil her. So when you feel that she's safe to go on her own, let me know. And if you don't want to cut off the ties to her, I can do it for you. She'll understand harsh reason. And if that's what she wants and that's how she wants to play this, I can play that role as well.
Okay.
Okay. So he's asked you to take this contract down to the Heart of the Beast and negotiate the rate with them. Are you cool with this?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, I will say you venture that way. Just want to ask you for luxury. Is there anything particularly that you want to do before you go down there?
I would like to talk to Aeolus about what to do with the excess money that I already have.
Okay. He would say to you, as before you go, you're like, hey, one more thing, about this. It's too heavy for me. And he says to you that he can take the money and divvy it up the way he has all the different amount of wages that you have earned with your time on his ship. But he will put that excess into a savings account for you. And it will be spent on one of three things. Either repairs for the ship if we ever need them. Luxury and fantastic weekend getaways. He says, and he smiles and he grimaces, Luis, or funeral expenses for any of us that would pass on the ship during contracts.
Okay.
Other than that, I would never touch a piece of it. And you're doing well. You don't spend. You pretty much are you're like a hole in the bottom of a bathtub. You just draw it in and it never comes back. So I can do that for you with it. And if we would ever have a huge contract and if we would need to get supplies and if I knew there was a good return on the money, and this would be the version of like you paying into a 401k that rolls in stocks. Okay? That's what this is. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. Then he goes ahead and he would take whatever money you had on you and he would want to leave you with at least 250 gold to just have for need. And what he has done is he has given you some change and given you some other pieces. He's given you several gold. He's given you different notes and things like that that amount to that much money but don't have the weight what 250 gold would have.
Nice.
And he says that's for whatever you deem that you need.
Okay.
Thank you. An allowance, if you will. And he says, is that everything?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All the finer details on that piece of paper are talking about what it would be to feed them, expenses for our travel, expenses for if there's any damage done to the ship, and if we have a hand in defeating the creature, what we would be privy to when Winona works her magic with the thing when they get it back to that slaughterhouse they call a business. He talks about them kind of in a primitive light, and that's the understanding. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say you're headed down to the Heart of the Beast. Okay. So now we've got Sylowen with Sha-dae, correct? Or no, Sylowen's going to the Drunken Mug to get a place.
Apartment house. Yeah, hunting.
Oh yes. Okay. So let's talk about that real quick. Then we'll get into the group thing. Okay. Okay.
Cool.
So Sylowen. We said this next day you guys were meeting around noon at Vander's to collect the money. So we're going to say at this point, we're talking this is around 1:30, 2 o'clock. After some things have went down. You've been walking around town. You went through that thing with Sha-dae and where you were being, You were just passing out the wealth. You're Robin Hood practically. And, Sha-dae has mentioned you're more than welcome to come to the Dreadnought. It's not the fanciest thing, but, it's this, that, and the other. You've decided, you like the idea of being able to get drunk and just walk upstairs. And that girl that you met there, that Roselia, she seemed feisty. She seemed like a very charismatic person. She likes it there. And this Bastille, this elven person that you've not got to meet yet, they live up there. That's the upstairs is where you and Dorbach and all you guys had that meeting that night, trying to set out the plans for this whole maiden in distress kind of shit. So you're familiar with it and you like that idea. So you're headed to that place. This is about 2:00. Lunch rush is over. You see no line outside, but you see a lot of outside cleaning. You would see Roselia outside actually cleaning the windows and sweeping up some things to the outside of the building. The door is wide open to let some much welcomed fresh air into this establishment. And the shutters are open up on the second floor where there are some of these balconies onto the sides of the establishment. The large sign of the dwarf that is drinking a big ale with a toe sticking out of it on the sign is swinging. There's a long story to it. If you ever want to know the story, look on the Google Drive, and it tells the story of how the Drunken Mug got its name. And it's swinging in the wind. The wind's really blowing, and a lot of snow running off there, hitting the stone streets, and irrigating on down into the courtway. Terran's not there. The door guard's not there right now. The gold dragon, or the gold Draken character. Door's wide open, and you just head right on in.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little dark to go in there because your eyes have to adjust to the light, and your eyes, as I remind you, are much bigger than a normal human's eyes. You're pretty much an anime character. Avians have large eyes. They're not slanted or anything. They're just a little bit larger, maybe a touch more slanted, and your features are more fine and delicate than normal humans. That's how avians look. They're descendants of angels, and angels look almost just like that. As you walk into the place and it's dark for a minute and your eyes quickly try to focus, I'd say there's maybe 15 people in here. No one that you particularly notice. As you walk in, do you say anything to Rylan, which seems to be very busy doing what she is doing to the point where she doesn't even notice you? Did you say anything to her on the way in?
No, probably not. Not if she's busy. I'll just go wait by the bar.
Okay. As you do, there are two bars inside. There's one on the right that Rylan usually is on. It seems to have mugs and things sitting on the bar stools, which will indicate that part is shut down. But the one on the left, the one that Aloria runs, which is a young Natalie, good
Portman?
Lord. No, not Portman, the redheaded one, Nicole Kidman.
Oh.
From Far and Away, with the movie of Tom Cruise where she's extraordinarily Irish. Yeah. So she seems to be manning that location at the time being. Roll a perception check when you go inside. I like, Alex, if you ever want to DM, if you ever DM like a dungeon crawl, just walk around your house with that camera like that and like take us there. You know what I mean? Like you're going down corridors and shit. That's great stuff.
I got a 15.
You got a 15. Okay. As you're looking around, you would notice, I don't know if you've even know them or not. No, probably not. Let me think. Nope. You wouldn't know them. Okay. No, nothing seems to be out, nothing seems to be out of place. And there are different people in here, interesting folks, but you don't recognize any of them. The only one you notice is a large humanoid figure that almost has like no sleeves on the vestment, dressed in what seems to be some kind of ancient Aztec version of like a martial arts gi, with a shaved head and very wide shoulders, sitting at the bar. And upon closer inspection, as you walk up, you recognize this as the person that Brahmus got into fisticuffs with, the Earth Genasi. Do you guys happen to remember what the name of that character was?
It was something to do with stone. All I remember is that
'Cause
Rachel was the one.
I think Kara's the one came up with it. And it
Oh,
was
it was
a really
you?
good name.
I think it was Torsten.
There it is.
Yeah.
I knew it started with a T.
Played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We had a hard time. We didn't know if he's going to go Vin Diesel or Dwayne. And I think we had a vote, and y'all decided Dwayne was the man.
Always.
That's one of the characters that one of my friends might actually start playing, which would be really interesting to have that
Because I
dude on
beat
the
him in
team.
arm wrestling.
All day you did. All day you did. Yeah. So, actually, having said that, thank you for reminding me of that. So you go into this place, and he's sitting there at the bar by himself, head down. You would see that the sash that he ties around his waist is ripped and torn with a little bit of a washed out blood stain on the end of it. And he's sitting there breathing heavy with his shoulders kind of moving up and down. He looks like a mountain of a man, literally. You know that when you get closer to him, his skin almost it is kind of the same tint that Dwayne Johnson's is. It's not a black person's tint, but it's that kind of in between, kind of a very dark tan.
Samoan.
But he has bronze metallic speckles on him when you get closer to him, and you realize that some of the musculature in his body is a little bit more cut than a normal person's. He has that earth element coursing through his veins at all time. And he's just kind of sitting there at the bar. Oh, what is it that you're doing? Doesn't have to do a damn thing of him. I'm just mentioning that he's there.
Well, I guess I would see if I could get a drink for me and for him and see if I could slide one over to him and be like, hey,
Okay.
I remember you from the other night.
He looks over at you, and you can see that the drink he has is empty. When you look at, I won't have your roll perception check for it. He's drinking just some of the basic brew that they have left over from the Dwarven Wake, because they put it in that special mug that had that horn on the handle.
Oh, I got him like a fancy IPA because I have
Okay.
money now.
So as you do that, he looks at you, put up the coin, and he kind of looks at that for a long minute. Seems like you've been busy. What you've been doing, betting on that friend of yours in arm wrestling matches?
No, not at all.
Just kind of grunts and smiles and thanks. He sniffs it, and he cringes a little bit and gets a couple marks up through there, and he looks at you and kind of he slides it over in front of him and looks at it. And he goes to pick it up, and when he looks over at you, you're like,
I'm like halfway into my drink, like already.
and he's like, he goes ahead and takes a big pull off of it, and when he sits it down, he kind of, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I would just be like, I hear that it puts hair on your chest. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
He looks over at you and he says, "You're being sarcastic."
No, that's actually what I've heard.
And you realize that he doesn't have a hair on his body. Okay? You realize this as soon as you say it. You make him smile. And as you do that, he says, that feels good. He goes, it's awfully early in the day for a person to be in a place like this. He says,
Oh, well, I'm trying to live here, actually. So
eyebrows raises a little bit. And as you say that, Aloria is on the other side of the bar, and she didn't say anything when she brought out the drink, of course, and now she kind of pipes up. And she says, is that a fact?
indeed.
She goes, well, I'll say this of you. For your size, you put it away pretty well.
Yeah, I'm getting really good at drinking these mortal drinks.
Don't think of it as a professional courtesy or a challenge. Sometimes it's a burden. Isn't that right, Torsten? She says to him. I had to look, see what his name was. Isn't that right, Torsten? He just kind of looks up and he says, IPA. He sits it down. After that, she says to you, she takes the towel, wipes off a spot there, and she throws it over her shoulder. And she crosses her arms and sits down like this a little bit. And she goes, we have all kinds of different rates for the different places we have here. And being the down season, and there being no tournaments at the Coliseum right now, and the dwarves all just leaving, we have vacancy. And since you are a personal ally to Valimar and trying to do good for the city, and she's looking at you as if she's wanting you to agree with her, like almost if you went to a restaurant to eat somewhere and you weren't sure if you were going to get a discount on your meal, but the person looks at you and goes like, so you're a veteran, right? And you work for this person, right? And you're 65 or older, right? And she's kind of egging you on in this way.
And I nod and I say, also, I'm a bard.
Speaking of which, that is awesome you just brought that up, because that's going to save me. I don't want to jump the gun, but it's super cool what you know. I saw a video earlier today that had to do with Tamyra's quest and what they're going to get ready to do. And you actually know something about this shit. And I just can't wait for the two to meet so we can talk about this. It's really, really cool shit. As I pat myself in the back a little. At that point, she says to you, she goes, there are many people that claim to be bards. What I would have to ask, are you a good one?
Well, I guess good is depending on the person, but
Sylowen breaks into song.
Do you have a harp?
She pushes the contract forward and she goes, there are 3 lines there. And you see $3 amounts. The one would be for the basic Joe that maybe they didn't like, and it's a higher dollar amount or coin amount because there are no dollars here. Make believe. And the second line is a more quaint one that she has already kind of initialed. But there's a third line that is cheap. That is for people that have semi-employment with us. It's not very crowded in here today. Show me what you got.
Right.
And as she goes, give me just a minute. You said a harp?
Yes, a harp would be wonderful.
Okay. You roll. They do. I will see the quality of the harp they have. Okay. Hope you can tune a harp, because this one ain't great. This is a 4. But it's and it's funny. You know, are you musically inclined at all, Heather?
I used to be in band.
Okay, cool. You know the difference between an instrument and a shitty instrument.
Yes.
This instrument hasn't been played in a while. Still feels a little sticky, like people have spilt beer on it. The strings on the harp are rusted to a degree where, you know, if you played them really, really hard, they might break. But I'm going to have you do a performance check to tune it and see if it's something that's playable by you. Now, you have quite a few bonuses to your performance check.
Oh, I just got a nat 18.
That's
plus
pretty
7,
good.
25.
That's what I'm saying. So with you would ask for a little bit of lemon oil, and you would ask for a couple things very intelligently, very impressively. And as you're doing this, God, that name is just killing me. Torsden. It's a good name. I just don't remember it. Torsden's kind of looking at you and nodding with approval. And you've also impressed Aloria so far with just your cleaning of it and tuning it. And you're going through and you're running this rag with lemon oil on the strings and trying to brighten it up a little bit. It's playable.
All right, I play a song.
So, I would like for you to roll a one more performance check, and when you do make this, you have to pick the name of the song. You have to make it up on the spot. I'll give you just the name. And then your performance check will be how this goes. And feel the room out. There's not a lot of people here. You got this big man made of rock. Could be something about a mountain. Could be something about warriors. It could be something about IPAs. It could be about all kinds of things. About
The
about
Climb
Rose
by
Hill.
Miley Cyrus. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
look. Okay, bad things will happen if we bring up Miley Cyrus in this game. Okay, so I don't
Okay.
mind her as much as you would think, but Jesus, wow, Hannah Montana is the one that kills me. All right, so go ahead,
I hate
roll
being
your
put on the
performance
spot.
check first, and let's see how you do.
Well, not bad.
Oh shit,
17.
total.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we talked earlier, that's a bit better than something that would be a fair challenge. So it's a little bit better than you. Yeah, not bad. 17 is not a bad roll for this. Okay, what is the song title? What's it about?
Cool. It's called The Warrior of the Mountain, and it's about
The mountain.
a dwarf who left his home in the mountains to bring honor to his clan
Done.
by
Stop talking.
killing a dragon. There you go.
Okay. That I was entertained until I heard that out of the background. That broke me. That broke me. Okay. So, is this vaguely have to do with your love triangle you have with one of the dwarves that went back to his home? Maybe
No,
you
I
could
just
dedicate
really
to
thought
this
about
to
The
him.
Hobbit.
Oh, terrible! It's terrible. Oh, Gerald Tolkien is rolling in his grave right now. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right. So you perform this ballad, and it's decent. We all know that you have a very good voice, and it's amazing the tune that you carry and the way that you sing is more empowering than what people here are used to, because you're used to singing to the gods. You're used to singing to the changing of the seasons, loud from a mountaintop, so it echoes throughout. And when you start doing this, by the time you are finished, you'll notice that everybody in that place has stopped what they're doing and are watching you, being mesmerized by what you do with this old harp. Okay. At that point, um, Torsden actually stands up and applauds you for what you did. Okay. As that's happening, halfway through the song, Roselia steps inside and leans inside the doorway and is just smiling and shaking her head, just amazed with you. Okay. As you do that, you can see Aloria re-signing that bottom line. Okay. So outside the game, let's just talk about this mechanically. You will be employed by them to a degree which will go towards your rent to stay here. And that'll be at least 2 days a week in the afternoons, 1 day of a weekend, 1 day throughout the week somewhere. And if you're out adventuring and things like that, they'll deduct those days. The contract says that while you're out adventuring or doing something like that, your room is up for rent if you don't choose to pay at least half the rent while you're gone.
Okay, well, do I have an option to store any valuables that I may keep in my room?
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. And the security here is good. And as you're going through and you ask a question about that to Aloria, she would say, let's just say that even the spider himself has had rooms here from time to time. And if I can have the trust of the spider, and he's willing to leave things here, I'd say anything you have will be safe as well. And she goes, and have you met Taryn? She's talking about the dragon at the door.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, there's a lot of names in this game.
I know. You ought to see my notebook. It's a hot mess. But, yeah. So with that, you would feel fairly confident that this would be okay. She goes, are you wanting to go ahead and set that up today and start with your first payment?
I feel like I'm a teenager who just is like doing something for the first time and they're like, oh my God, this is my first responsibility. Like,
yep. This is going to be for the month. They want the first month up front. And being in this, it would normally be 10 gold for a month.
Okay. Not bad.
Which equals to be about $1,000. Each gold is 100. Okay. So now with your discount, it's only going to be 7.5 gold a month.
Okay.
Okay, and the more you work, and depending on what they bring in at the door, the lowest you would be able to pay, and you might want to take a note of this, the lowest your rent will be is going to be 5 gold a month. Okay, that will deduct the door cost from that. So the maximum is going to be 10, but the less you work, well, it'll be 10, but the more you work and the better the door pull is when you're performing, your rent could be no lower than 5 to hold the room. And when you're adventuring, you at least have to pay half the rent to keep the room optionally open for you. Okay? You can store your stuff in there.
Does this include meals and water and alcohol, or is that just the rent of the
It
room?
does not. If you want that included, that's going to be 15 gold a month.
We'll negotiate.
Okay. You guys got a pretty good payday from the last shit you've been through, but to tell you the truth, the things you did for the dwarf people, fighting that frostworm, the goblins, the things, taking on art, there's been some things you guys have pulled off to earn it. So that's the basic run-of-the-mill, and that's a very good deal.
All right, then I sign the line. I have my own first apartment. How
Okay, so-
exciting.
Right on. Come and knock on our door. So
I immediately go adopt a cat.
I'm going to have to get like a Mr. Roper. Yeah, I have to get a Mr. Roper character to come in there and mess with you guys and shit. But with that, remember, if you ever want to go out into town and buy things to furnish it, if you want to get books from vendors to take there, if you want to go to elven crafting shops around here, elven crafts are the closest thing you would find to avian-looking things that you'd be used to decorate your house. But it's D&D. You just go out and adventure and bring shit home now. You got
Yeah,
a place.
I'm just gonna
your
collect
stuff.
shit as we go.
Yeah, it's like George Carlin. Now you got a place for your stuff. if you're a fan of his, which I am. So hey, Autumn, would you please make sure the coffee pot's on? I'm going to get some more here in just a minute. I just want to make sure it's warm. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So with that, you're going to have your room. I want you to roll a. Try to decide what kind of check would I have for you to decorate your room, to situate it and move it around the way you would want to move it around. What do you think?
Performance?
I mean, I suppose so. I mean, I don't think feng shui has got a stat. I don't know how to do it.
I would say a general wisdom check, just to see, if how things would fit, or intelligence.
Okay. I will say that Aloria has gave you a form of any kind of request that you have within reason that can add to your first month's rent to furnish or do some things in there.
I mean, I'm assuming it comes with like a bed and a dresser, right?
It does. It comes
like
with
a
a
desk.
table.
Yeah.
It comes with a table and it has an optional fireplace where the chimneys go up from downstairs. They actually go through the walls of your part of the room as well. Their chimneys are an interconnecting system. So your fireplace and the one downstairs will connect into one chimney that goes all the way out. It is optional. It is sealed off with decorative stone that can be removed to open it up if you choose to use it. You have a window that goes to outside, and you have a small patio balcony that goes to the outside off the back of the
nice.
place, which you can see into
Way
back
to go.
alleys, and you can see on top of some of the rooftops. And if you stand real close and look up through the window, you can see up some of the tiers of the city, and you can see the citadel that Omadon lives in, which is called the Falcon's Nest. Okay?
All right.
So you have visibly things. What's really cool about that is now you can't get over there far enough to see Skywatch, but you can see the long spire that leads up to it, the Sky Well. Okay.
Can I, from my balcony, get onto the roof without people knowing?
You could, but it would take a dexterity check. It's going to be about 15 foot, and it might take you using your wing once or twice to do it.
Interesting. Just wanting to know.
Yeah, you probably could, and you could always put something out there to do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think I might work on building a ladder that can like take inside so nobody will know.
That's cool. I like it. So, in anything, like I say, in your downtime, if you're sitting there watching TV bullshitting, write down a couple of things that you want for it. And all
Okay.
you do this too, like Oma, for your place on the ship, on the Lylung, if there's any comforts from home, don't be afraid to just make notes of that shit, and we can try to find those things and create that in this game for you. Okay?
I guess I will retrieve all my stuff from Iggy's place at this point and move it to my own area.
Okay. Do you want to interact through that, or you just want to say you've done it?
No, I will just say we did it.
Okay. With that, Ignatius would probably give you a couple different things that you maybe don't think you would want to have, but you would take them to be polite.
And he would realize that I'm just doing this because I want my own independence. So
You think he does? Ignatius is very kind and has wisdom that he doesn't always just carry on his sleeve, because he doesn't want to feel like he's making people feel inferior around him. But, and if Ron ever sees this, he's going to be like, thanks, buddy. But he is the quintessential super good dude. Like, as far as being an avian too, he gave you credit. And he sees beyond the arrogance and the social distance that avians have for lowlanders. He has brought you into this and told you about what this world would be like with great wonder and childlike awe on his face. And so if you ever want to visit him as an NPC or consult him about your homeland or something like that, that's a good source for you to use. And when we kind of like immortalize Ron's character in the emissary suite up in Falcon's Nest, and he's always going to be around there for now.
okay, sounds good.
That's cool.
I guess I'll just go visit him and just be like, hey, like, thanks so much for letting me like crash here, but like I'm ready to be on my own and do this. So
as you are headed up there to I'll say you've done this, then you're getting ready to, you guys are standing out in the balcony, because he has one too that overlooks the city going down. You recognize Oma. And Oma is heading down Skywell by herself, carrying a scrolled piece of paper, and has that really big, oversized white and blue furred cloak and thing that she had. Oma, you remember you met those two foreigners?
Yeah.
That said they were going. You never gave that to them yet. Is that something you were going to do, or have you already given it to them?
I was planning on doing it later.
Okay, so she still has it, so it's quite big. Okay, and that's how you recognize her immediately. And you couldn't help but Ignatius saying, I wonder where she's off to.
I don't know. Maybe I should follow her.
Hey, maybe you should. Why don't you do the DM a favor and get your avian ass down there and see what's going on?
Can I like really cool like Superman jump from the balcony with my wing?
As Matt Mercer would say, you could certainly try. Why don't
How
you go
far
ahead
is
and
the
roll a
balcony?
dexterity check? Huh?
How tall is the balcony?
Well, do you want to check that first, or you just want to jump?
Okay,
which
we're
is
gonna
it?
do a really fast perception check. Ow,
Okay, roll
ma'am.
disadvantage then. 2 d20s, you get the lowest one.
Well,
Well,
not good. 15.
as you jump down, I want you to think about nature shows that you've watched in the past.
Ow! I'm sorry, hold on.
No, it's okay. I've been attacked by cats before too. Think about
Karen
nature
is feeding
shows.
her chicken, and so she's trying to jump up here. Come here. Anyway, sorry.
When you see birds trying to leave the nest, learning to fly, and you've seen that some of them make it and some of them fall, and this is National Geographic from when I was a kid. You're in that position, okay? You have
metaphorically and everything.
I'm going to say, just for your sake, roll me a 1d20. 1 through 10, you left your heavy armor and stuff back in your rooms. All you're carrying around is your lance and your normal clothes. 11 through 20. 11 through 20, and you got it on you. Damn it. Okay, so roll me a dexterity check to see how well you perform this. Ignatius gets out. But what it? Before you just.
Well, it's plus just regular dex.
Oh. You could talk me into more, but you're going to have to sell it. What are you trying to do?
I was thinking, no,
Acrobatics.
no,
maybe.
not acrobatics. No.
No.
Nope. We're just gonna go dexterity. Yep. We're gonna stay with
Dexterity, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your total?
All right. Well, with my dexterity bonus, I am.
Alex is just dying to know what happens here. This is good.
I am at a 16.
Okay. So.
Also, I love that all I can see is Alex's glasses, like just
Yeah,
the
I know.
reflections.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. You just like slowly disappeared into the
He's
background.
like the Cheshire cat when it's fading in the smoke from Alice in Wonderland, just a big
all you see
smile
is
in
the
the sky.
smile and the eyes, and that's it. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so
I'll turn the
So-
light on.
and this is why we get together on Sundays, guys. This is fun. So you jump over there, and you've been working on. You do a lot of your aerial assault moves still, which require maybe a flap or two of the wing to get you bound, and you're using magic to compensate for the rest. I'm going to say that you use about 3 magic points to center yourself with those aerial assault abilities that you normally do when you're bounding, and you're able to slow your fall and guide yourself with that wing with the 16 to where you're able to land on the next surface down. And it's a brave step, and it's still a little bit nervous and hard for you to do, but you are working on making that one wing much stronger than it was on its own, with the pair. So you're able to pull off semi things. You're like an injured bird that can pull off things in an emergency.
Yeah, I'm like a cat who only has 3 legs, and we're just learning.
Okay, sure.
Sure, why not?
I just got to say, between using cat metaphors and things, I think you need help. Just saying it. Cats are they'll take over your life, man.
You do
Cats will take
realize
over your
we're
We are crazy plant cat lesbians. There's literally, I don't know what you want from us.
I want to buy that T-shirt. We are crazy plant cat lesbians.
lesbians.
Yes, I want that T-shirt. Absolutely.
All
right.
All we need is a Subaru.
Yeah, right.
Just
Just round it
he's a
out.
Subaru. Yes.
All right, so I
So-
took my 3 magic points.
Okay, awesome. So, having said that, you go down to greet Alex. Alex, you are just kind of making my way, and you're
I
headed.
was about to do it.
Well, on
Glad
Critical
you
Role,
did.
the show Critical Role, they do that shit all the time. Matt Mercer, he'll say to him, "So you guys make your way through the darkness," and Sam Riegel will be like, "Making my way through town." He'll start dancing. He just rolls his eyes. They get so damn sick of him doing that, dude. But it's funny. When you land somewhere in the vicinity in or around Oma with the 16, congratulations. What is it you say?
Me or Oma?
Pick.
Hey, Oma, haven't seen you in a while.
Oof, tough landing.
You really had to bring it up. I only have 1 wing, if you haven't noticed.
You find that strangely upfront and awkward, Oma, being a very humble person as you are. She's wearing her weakness on her sleeve, and it seems like it empowers her to do so. So, having said that, what's the conversation here? Are you asking her what's up, what's going on, yada yada? And Alex, are you telling her what you're up to?
I'll just say that I'm heading over to the Heart of the Beast for some ship business.
Okay. What about you, Heather? What's your response to that? You've got your place. You're staying. I'm not trying to push you into whatever you want to do, but what's your response to that?
No, I want to. Can you just hear me throwing the cat on the ground?
I could have heard all
Yeah.
4 feet hurt. If all 4 feet hit at different times.
It's my fault. I fed her chicken.
And now
I
she
swear.
won't leave me alone. And now I have hair
Cats.
all over me. I guess right now, one thing that I want to ask Oma that I've been wanting to ask for a while is, what's up with Zehan?
What do you mean?
How much money does he owe? Why does he owe so much money? I'm a little concerned. I might have started something with him, and I don't know what I've gotten myself into.
Okay, so Oma,
Oh.
let me explain your point of view on this. Do you remember how your and Daehan's relationship was?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so it was never romantic. It was never romantic, but there was a while there where you both didn't know if you should have been romantically involved. There was like you were both kind of
No.
yeah. Well, we'll get to it. This is
I'm
going to be
so
interesting.
sorry.
I was when you said that, I was like,
On the ship, no less. On the ship. So
On the ship.
next door to her, it's terrible, terrible shit. So
Well,
because they're neighbors.
forgive me.
They're neighbors on the
Sha-dae is
ship.
just drinking Sha-dae is just drinking a cup of tea, minding her own business.
Right on, right on. We're going to get to Sha-dae in just a minute. So, you guys decided through no verbal words that at first there were times where you thought Daehon was handsome and he was very heroic and he reminded you of people from back home. But very soon, Daehon started opening up about the loss of his sister and a lot of those different things that you guys went through. And you guys have helped each other cope with your pain. In that campaign or that one game that we did where you guys were in that ring, that was awesome. And you guys found out that you're like brother and sister now. You guys are very endeared to one another. That's where the relationship is. And you had noticed, Oma, that when you went back to your room to collect some things to take to Gleandra's, that is the cleanest you have seen Daehon's room since he has been on the ship. And it seems strange to you, and there was a strange smell of a perfume, something like a potpourri like thing that burnt, and it wasn't normal for Daehon's room to smell that way. And then when she says this to you, I might have done something ridiculous. I don't know how I feel. And what's he like? You're starting to put this shit together in your head. Okay, so having said all that fun stuff, what do you say to her?
So that's why he's been acting so different.
He's been acting different. How has he been acting?
Oh my. Oh my.
Also, my character rolled really badly really well during that whole period, so I kind of have to play this out.
No, you did. It's awesome. It's legit shit. It's cool. Oma, be careful.
Well, he's certainly getting things together a lot better than he has been.
He was in jail 2 nights ago. Yeah, it's good.
In jail? In jail for what?
That was out of the game. That's just me and Oma talking. That's just me and Oma.
Never mind. Okay, fine. You tell me.
Oh, shit.
So he's getting his shit together, meaning his shit was not together recently?
You can tell she's an avian and she doesn't understand the expression.
Oh, you know how bachelors are.
No, indeed I don't, actually.
Oh, God.
How much money does he owe and to whom? And is it a big deal?
She asked you all these questions. It's getting to be a lot, Oma. So let's do this.
Okay.
I've been wanting to ask Oma this for a while.
I
wrote it down. I was waiting.
So let's do this. I want you to roll a persuasion check, Heather, with just regular persuasion check.
Well, okay. That ain't bad.
I was like, Oma just fades into the bushes. And was like,
that's a dirty 20.
A dirty 20. Okay. Alex, I'm going to let your dice decide your emotions on this unless you want to intervene. I'm always up for characters saying, no, this is how my character feels. This is what they would do.
A dirty 20. I'm very passionate about my man.
It seems like you're kind of stuck in this. You're not quite sure how to respond. So you would want him to be happy, but you don't know who with, and you might be a little jealous too. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, is this Sylowen good enough for Daehon? So let's roll to see. Now, she rolled a 20. She's really like, I want to know. Let me roll a charisma check and see how you do, and if you're able to hold back all the things you want to say.
Okay.
I'm starting drama.
The huge.
The huge.
11.
Spill your guts.
Okay.
Also, I haven't used the term "my man" in I don't know, 9 years.
Oh, D&D.
It's fun.
Goodness. Okay. So we'll say that she spills her guts to a degree for the next 10 minutes or so as you guys are going down Skywell and talking about this.
But is she angry? Can I do an insight check?
Sure, go ahead.
Ow, stop. You can only do more chicken. Good God.
I'm telling you, cats, man. Cats.
That's a 15. I only have +1 to insight.
Oma is pleasant enough where it takes more than that to see through her pleasantry on the surface. Oma is a very reserved person that has been through a lot, and it takes a lot to bring out secrets of her. But you can tell that she speaks very kindly of Dahan and talks about him as if he has an injured soul and things of that nature. As far as his debts and things like that, Oma doesn't prescribe to that. That'd be between him and Aeolus. But she knows that Aeolus, she's caught him getting on to him several times recently. But it's never been for him doing criminal things. It's for Dahan doing what Dahan does.
Well,
And
I'm asking because I want to help.
okay, so to that, Alex, what would you reply?
There's a get Dahan out of trouble fund on the ship already. If you want to add to
A
it.
GoFundMe account. Yeah.
Free Dahan account.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I like look at Oma and I say like, how much do you care about him?
I'd go ahead and say he's like a brother to me.
So what if we could find a way to work this out with Aeolus in the form of a contract of some sort? What would you say?
What do you think, Oma?
You and
She
me
thinks on
banding
it.
together, taking
She
care of
thinks
this
on it.
problem?
A long time. Okay, and just like she's doing right now, Oma doesn't answer right off. And Oma, here are some things you'd be considering. You know, Dahan's came a long way since you first met him.
Mhm.
Okay, and sometimes the humbling that Aeolus has over him is one of the things that you think has helped him grow as a person. If that debt were to be paid outlandishly, it'd almost be like giving an addict more shit. You're afraid you
I
like
can't do anything nice in this
you,
game. I
you
swear
like
to Jesus.
the chemistry that him and Aeolus have keeps him in check. Now, if this were to be done secretly, and he didn't know that the balance was negative or good, that would be fantastic. That would fulfill Sylowen's need.
Mhm.
You know, that would be helpful to the ship and the crew. But you like the effects of that burden of knowing that if he screws up, he's letting people down. You like that on Dahan. So if you decide to do this, you would want to keep it a secret from him, and you would want to talk to Aeolus about it.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about contracts in general. So how about we
Damn it. Can you go put her up, please?
flip a coin?
Okay, 1 through 10, and we'll say what?
Come on, Mama. Come on.
We'll
Well,
say
I
you
don't
want
And
to.
then
I guess
And
we can not say contract so much as like, you know, we do a job or we do something that's needed to be done and maybe help.
Okay.
yeah, I see where you're going with it. I'd be down to help out.
Oma seems like she's on board, but material things make her uncomfortable. Is that
Right.
fair?
Yeah.
So, Sylowen, take that into mind, and then remember the words that Sha-dae taught you earlier today about how some of these things that you have, these are this is a changing amount of money that you need to be wary with. But it seems like this is a possibility. Almost kind of given into the idea, but seems uncomfortable talking about it with you. Okay.
All right. Well, I don't know where I'm at now. I'm just going to continue to go with Oma wherever.
Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are damn near at the bottom of the skywell. Sha-dae, you've just arrived in the shop. You had that brief moment where Tamyra is talking to you about what's getting ready to go on. And at that moment, you hear this loud female talking of a very familiar voice, which is Sylowen, in the middle of the city. And it's coming up the street. She's probably about a good 25 yards from the front door of the Heart of the Beast, but you can hear her saying things. It's like, has he always had tattoos like that? And where did he learn how to fight exactly? I mean, has he always been fighting since he was a little guy? Or like, I know you haven't known him for that long, but when did you actually meet him? How long have you guys been friends? And there's all this barrage of shit that Sylowen is inflicting upon Oma. And you can see Oma just nodding her head. And every once in a while going to say a word. And Sylowen keeps talking and she stops and listens for a minute. Then she goes to say something again and stops and listens. And this happens all the way up to the front door of the Heart of the Beast.
Yeah, I am that girl talking about my guy.
So
And
my
Oma's
guy,
just like,
well,
file and
Sha-dae will try and find some shadowy spot, and try and hide.
okay, roll me a check for that, please.
Do I need to roll a perception check?
Not yet, because you don't even know. They're just inside the door.
Oh, okay.
So at this
You're too
point,
busy talking right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Sha-dae has left me in some really weird positions before.
I get it. That was funny the other
That
day
is
when that happened.
A book? Yeah.
That was funny.
So that is a 21.
Okay, you are hidden within the shop to the point where Tamyra sees you kind of make this look. You're like, we were talking, but now I must go. You just kind of go backwards.
Tamara's just like,
Right in mid-sentence, you're like, and we were going to do this thing. Sha-dae? Sha-dae?
where'd you go?
And Sha-dae's just going. It's like, I go. And inside the shop, you find this extremely funny, but then you hear the piercing words of
Oh, come on, I'm
Sylowen.
not that annoying.
Nope, I'm the DM. I'm the DM.
You dug your
Coming
hole.
up
dude.
to the
Wow.
hallway.
So I'm just like the person everybody hates now. Cool. All right.
You listen on the show, Lucifer. You know when Eve is talking on the show. Okay,
This is
that's
true.
all I'm saying.
All right.
That's fair. So as they're coming up on the front porch, you can't help in your mind, Tamyra, think, oh, that's why I hid. Okay, I get it.
Tamara's like, it all makes sense.
Okay, so having said that, Valdara's sitting there going over stuff. You were going to talk to her a little bit about the trip you guys are getting ready to take. We're getting ready to take a 10-minute break, so let me sum this up. You're hiding in the shadows for whatever God reason. I don't know. I hope it's great. You are walking along with Sylowen. She's digging for information on Dahan, and you're thinking about the contract in your mind and how you want to negotiate this with them. This is all working out really well. You guys are all in the same place, and Brahmus is still over at Vander's, I believe, working on books, which is only like a block away, and looking into his past. So when we come back from this 10-minute break, I'll have a full cup of coffee, think about how this interaction will go, and we'll take it up from there. Does that sound good?
Oh,
Okay,
I guess Oma, also, I look at you and I say, keep this to yourself if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
Almost like lock
All
and
of
key.
that.
Hold on.
Almost stopped listening an hour ago.
Someone, I want you to do an insight check to see if you think Oma will really keep a secret.
Well, that's a 4.
Okay. You can't tell. You say that, and you're expecting her to go, oh, absolutely. But instead you get, sure. And you don't know, you know what I mean, Alex? She couldn't read you at all because you're kind of in thought about the contract. And, so having said that, I'm going to pause this, and we'll come back in about 10, and we'll take off from what's going on inside the shop. Sound good?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I'll see you guys in a few. Later.
Everybody hates me.
Now I'm recording.
I just noticed it was not there. I'm like,
Yeah. Took a long pause there, everybody. Sorry. So Brahmus just had some realizations about searching in the Valkyries, and he pops in and out of reality almost like a familiar when he is beckoned by Valkyries to do part in that. And he's trying to sort out what are dreams and what are actually memories of things he's been drawn to. He heard Sylowen walking down the street talking to Oma, and is now going to investigate and wants to join the group. And they cleverly come up with the idea that when Brahmus comes out of the shop and tries to get people's attention, he's the Kool-Aid man. And he's coming out going, oh, yeah. So
It'd just be like, oh, hey.
okay, yeah, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Yeah, I know, right? My daughter's like, the Kool-Aid man? What are you, bunch of nerds? Good night, kiddo. So anyway, having said that, you've come out there and you've said something that's non-creepy, I suppose, Jeremy. And you two, you want to have a brief interaction before we get to the actual shop? What are you saying to them, Brahmus?
It'll be more or less just passing good morning. Where are you headed?
Asking them what they're doing with all their money, if Sylowen has any left still, things like that.
Sylowen's very rich still. It's fine. I say, hi, Brahmus, haven't seen you in a while. I'm over here hanging out with Oma. We're heading over. Where are we heading, Oma?
We're heading to the heart of the beast.
Oh yeah, we're heading to the heart of the beast. We were talking about nothing at all.
Roll an insight check, Jeremy.
I think Brahmus knows about it though. Does it, Brahmus?
Nat
Oma's over
20.
there. She's like,
Nat 20. Nat 20. You know everything I know, Jeremy. Okay. With a nat 20, you know everything I know, sir. What are you saying, knowing that you've seen the cards in Sylowen's hand?
He's going through. He's inside the castle. He's got that pegboard up, and he's tying strings. Everything.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's all. It's got pictures of Daehon. It's got a picture of a dwarf ripped in half sitting over there on the side. It's got all this shit on it.
But you also have to include the whole fight between the dwarf and Daehon inside the bar.
Well, yeah, and then it's got
there's IPAs and a harp, and they're like question mark.
Yeah, there's pictures of Dwayne Johnson with question marks around it and shit. Yeah, that's so fantastic, dude. Okay, so that's what we got going on.
Wait, but do you tell me that you know? Or do you
No.
just keep it to yourself?
He's not going to make a big deal out of it.
All right. Well, then
This
I guess
is
Sylowen just
something that has
believes
been
that.
pouring to him for a great many years.
Sylowen just thinks it's a secret then that Oma's gonna keep.
And Oma's over there mouthing like, "Help me."
And on a serious note with you, Merc, in a way, it's like I say, it's still really neat to see her in a city, being outside the oppression and the narrow view of the avians, and doing this. And you can only hope that maybe one day she'll find the happiness that you had with something meaningful with your wife that passed away a long time ago. And so that is an encouraging thought. There's happiness to be had here, and you're glad she's in a place where she can find it potentially. Okay. So with that, the Scarecrow and the Lion have picked up the Tin Man, and they are off to see Oz. We will go ahead and say that at this moment, you guys are getting ready to walk up. Sha-dae, you are hidden. Tamyra is going over to talk to Valdara, and you are leaning over the table where she has the clawed flail, and she is doing some investigating on what it is that you guys are getting ready to go and do. So with that, I will say, Sylowen and Oma, are you guys walking on in through the front door?
Come on in.
I'm following Oma, so
Okay, Oma, are you
actually
just
I
heading
feel like
on
at this
in?
point I'm linked arm in arm with Oma, against her will, probably.
Okay.
Almost just subtly guiding her to appear somewhere.
So she's like,
I'm trying to make it into the crowd, see if I can lose her.
okay.
Bob
So-
and weave. Bob and weave.
As she's doing this,
Sylowen feels sad and she doesn't know why.
Oh,
there's a need that Sylowen has, and it's not being filled right now. It's terrible stuff. But anyway, as you awkwardly hold on to her like your bestie in a mall doing some shoe shopping, Oma makes her way into the shop. You see Tamyra with her back, and is leaning over and looking at Valdara. Valdara looks up to you with knowing eyes. You've been in several different battles with Valdara, and she gives you a long, stern look for a minute, and then gives you a knowing nod. And her and Tamyra begin talking about some kind of creature that she seems to have laid out here some information on this conference table. Okay, this round
So
table inside.
I guess Tamyra notices Valdara's eyes, look around. So Tamyra turns around, sees Oma, sees Sylowen, sees everyone else, and goes, "Oh, all right. Well, the whole crew is here. So Valdara."
Here we
As soon
go.
as soon as Sylowen walks in to the store and
Yes.
they're having this serious conversation about the creator, while hidden, Sha-dae would cast minor illusion to make ominous music play in the background.
Okay.
We're all just like,
We're just like looking around.
I'm like, Valdara,
As
is that
Sylowen
you?
walks in.
Okay. So
And then-
as that happens, what's everybody doing? Brahmus is standing in the doorway now, blocking out most of the sun as it darkens down a couple steps inside here, standing inside. And Brahmus, you hear eerie music coming from inside this place. You don't know if this is some kind of enchantment, if this is something that they just have playing here. You don't know if this is just the local scene. Oma, you pick up on this too. There's a strange, uncomfortable moment. Tamyra, just 1 minute, everybody. I'm not sure. I didn't move one today.
I'm like torn between saying like, oh my god, it's my jam.
Oh, it's right there on top of it. Okay, so what is everyone's reaction to this? We'll start with Tamyra, because you have an idea. No, you don't. Actually, do an Arcana check.
Arcana check. Oh, okay. 17 plus intelligence, which I am not proficient in. That's a dirty 20.
This may have something to do with Sha-dae's hijinks.
Especially since you saw Sha-dae like disappear into the shadows.
Right. That's the only
So-
reason I'm saying this, okay?
All right, so Tamyra makes kind of a light joke, and she looks at Valdara and goes, "Valdara, is this part of the story to get us all interested? Like, what is this?" And, like, she's like picking up the trinkets, being like, listening to them. You know,
She
Valdara,
looks
is
at
this you?
She looks at you and she looks around and she kind of grins out of corner of her mouth. Just watch. She starts looking around like this and fakes flipping a page as she's actually looking up to see what happens next. Okay. Sylowen, your reaction to hearing off-putting music on the wind,
Sylowen has no idea this is about her.
right?
If she did, she'd probably be pretty hurt. So she's just like, wow, what a weird, eerie place. Like,
Okay. We're going to keep on treating this however you want. We do normally, Sean, and whenever you want to trigger this, you just interrupt, okay?
No.
So as this continues, Oma, what is it that you're doing?
I want to see if I can harmonize with it.
Okay. So Oma doing the native thing. Oma is a singer as well. She performs and does things so she can communicate with people that do soul walking, do spirit walking. And she begins to hum slightly along with this tune. Roll a performance check, Oma.
Okay. Oh, and
Ooh. So she pulls it off. Now, let me ask you this, because I think I know where you're headed, Oma. Because I know what you're a fan of. I know what Alex is a fan of. Are you wanting this to be like Evil Dead? They're gonna get you, not another peep. Are you wanting to do that shit, or are you actually doing something pleasant? Because I know you. What do you want to do here? What's the goal?
so Oma would want to do something pleasant.
Okay. So let's say with a 10,
Does
it
the
would
rock
it,
fit
it
the
would
rock?
have been pleasant, but it comes across a little creepy. People know that you talk to spirits and souls, and you're humming along with this all of a sudden, just with this kind of smile on your face. And it comes off a little weird. Brahmus, your reaction.
As soon as he walks in, he's gonna hear that and just go like, well, that's unsettling. And he's gonna see Oma and be like, so is that.
So is that. Showing anything at this point, or are you just staying hidden?
Yeah, Sha-dae is gonna like pop up behind everybody. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Are you looking for shock and awe? Because I'll have you roll that if you
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Okay. With that, everyone roll me a perception check of disadvantage and tell me your lowest roll. Anything lower than a 10, and you are damn near piss yourself when
I
Sha-dae jumps
literally
out.
just got a 20
And
and a 15. 15 plus. Hold on.
you said wisdom or what? Perception?
Perception, yeah. So Sylowen's kind of in tune.
21.
Okay, really good. What'd you get,
Then-
Tamyra?
9.
A 9. Okay. Brahmus?
Somewhere off in the distance, it's like a really low echo. You can hear what sounds like a woman screaming, and you can't figure out why.
Yeah.
I rolled a 2 and a 4.
That's fantastic. Oma, what did you roll?
11.
11. I will want you to roll a performance check, Sha-dae, and that's what they have to. If they beat that, they're not scared. If they failed it, yeah. Oh, God. That's a villain laugh right there.
Not 20 for a total of 23.
Fuck.
So listen.
Everybody takes psychic damage.
Yeah. I want to roll for that, but I don't want y'all to get hurt. It's the equivalent of psychic damage. It's literally like someone scratched the record of your mind when he jumps out, or straight
I
out
feel
the
like I
shadows.
should have rolled with advantage because I knew Sha-dae was hidden.
Go ahead. Roll another d20.
Much better. That's a 17. That's a dirty 20.
It's 21. You still
You,
lose.
you lost, but it's like watching a horror movie when you know someone's getting ready chopped off.
And
Like
you
the
still-
third
and I
time you've
still
watched it, you're just like, it's like that. It's just like that. So very good. Great use of minor illusion. 1 magic point, and we had 15 minutes of role play. It's all good. So once Sha-dae is done playing with everyone's emotions, when you pop up and you get the reaction out of people that you did, what are you doing, Sean?
Suppose I'll put apartment, but writes notes.
Okay.
Back in her pocket.
Okay. As a creeper, she's like,
Notes, and there you go.
keep that for later. At that point, Valdara lets out a chuckle and gets back to talking about some things. There are about 4 or 5 empty chairs conveniently at that table. There are also a couple chairs at the counter where Gwenyth usually stands around. The door is open where Winona and I keep forgetting that half-orc's name. I don't use him very often, but he's who they call the butcher. So we'll call him the butcher. He's the one that does all the actual carving and helps do the shit when Winona, the redheaded dwarven woman, is the one that maps out things on creatures. Their room is open for investigation, and the long stairway upstairs that goes is also open. That's all the different rooms and stuff where they stay upstairs. What is everyone doing? I'm going to give you guys a minute to talk this through. I'll play the role of Valdara, and she is mapping out this. Gwenyth is going into the back in these large storerooms, and when she opens them up, you see actual, like, you might see a displacer beast hanging. You might see all kinds of different rows of dragon scales that have been laid out, being weaved into something and not finished. She has these large cargo doors that open up somewhat back behind the counter there, where they have stores of all the different things that have yet to be processed. And she is bringing out supplies and lining them out alongside the doorway of the inside of the Heart of the Beast, getting ready for some kind of adventure, some kind of hunt has came to them, and that's what they're doing. So your guys are there to do a contract thing, Alex. You're just there with these 2 Brahmas just to see what the hell's going on. Tamyra knows everything that's happening. Sha-dae is here because...
I'm just along for the ride, and I heard someone's getting paid.
Okay. So with that, I'll let you guys have a conversation now that you've had the shit scared of all of you. If anyone wants to reply to Sean after that, and then we'll get into it a little bit.
Tamyra goes, holy hell, Sha-dae. Like, joking. And be like, you literally about gave us all a heart attack.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I was saying, so what? And so Tamyra kind of gathers the group, and she's like, well, now that the shenanigans are over, Valdara, this is the crew. And does Valdara know does she know Oma or does she know anybody?
Valdara fought the Frostworm with Sylowen when she first arrived.
Okay.
She knows Oma pretty well.
Okay.
They've been on a decent adventure together. They went together to rescue Tharu, the hero, the half-orc that was
Okay.
in that long slumber. So Valdara and Oma have a connection, and Oma secretly worries about her soul and her spirit and what she'll be like when it's her time to leave this world, what she'll become. Oma
Okay.
has a very deep connection to things on that other side, and she sees the conflict inside of Valdara, and it always is there to say, "Hey, are you okay?
Okay.
How's everything going?" So Oma sees her that way as a cleric.
Okay.
Okay. Brahmus doesn't really know her all that well.
Okay.
He fought with her against the ice worm, but they haven't really talked or anything else besides her
They're
trying to
just
give
like
him that item after the
acquaintances.
Warfrostworm fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then she does not know Sha-dae.
No.
Sha-dae also fought alongside her, the Frostworm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
she doesn't know man Sha-dae.
gotcha. Okay.
No, she
So Tamyra, I guess, tries to group everyone together and says, Valdara, these are the people I've been with for the last, little bit. We're all here. Do you guys want to get in? So Tamyra's asking the group, do you guys want to get in on this adventure?
Okay. Valdara just kind of looks up from her paperwork and rolls that up a little bit and lays it down there and stops and looks at the group of all of you for just a minute. And she looks at everyone kind of seriously. She looks at the demeanor on everyone and she says, the more of you that come along on this, the easier it'll be for all of us. We fought together before. We can do it again. But to be honest, Tamyra, it thins out the profits. But if this goes the way that we're planning on it going, and she looks over her shoulder back at Gwenyth, which is kind of still gathering things. There should be plenty for all of us. This is, but we need to have some investigation first before we jump into this. I'm not the librarian that Vander is, nor do I even pretend to be. To tell you the truth, this shit actually frustrates me quite a bit. But from what I'm trying, she rubs her head like she has a little bit of a headache, maybe a little bit of alcohol withdrawals. She's rubbing her head a little bit. And she goes, but from what I can gather, there are 3 people in the town here that we could ask for advice on this. One of which is going to be Leah, that owns the restaurant up in Skywatch. The other 2 are going to be someone that we know actually pretty well, Tamyra. And she asks you, she goes, and you would remember this very well. When you and Valdara went on a quest to slay a avian, like large, colorful bird, like half dinosaur creature, on the eastern edge of the Mountains of Tears, there was this large creature you and Valdara and some people went on to slay. And how can I explain this to you without you being there? And on your way back, you came across some wandering people that seemed to be Aztec in a way, Mayan almost. They had the colorful dress and looked like this person behind me here. Okay. And they were a brother and sister, looked like they could damn near been twins. One's name was Norbu, and the girl's name was Kamani. And these 2 were the ones that are going to create that really awesome armor for us. These are the ones that possibly, Oma, you would want to talk to about crafting and doing something of that large ice wolf cloak that you was given by the dwarves. Okay? They would have some knowledge about where we're getting ready to head, because we're heading into a place that's, Valdara says, it's to the south, beyond where a ship can carry us. or a normal ship. And it's going to be past where you're from, Oma, on past Thornwood, into the deep forest lands of Tadala. Okay, Lee is from there, and I know that Norbu and Kamani have studied the creatures there, and that's what they primarily do. We're thinking about actually hiring those two and giving them a room here. She looks up at you, Tamyra, says, I would have told you this weeks ago, but you've been busy and I've been, lost. So, but now I'm not. So, it's going to be several days worth of journey, no matter how we choose to take it. And then procuring whatever we're allowed to keep of this creature is going to be something that we're going to have to negotiate very carefully. She goes, so how many of you all have a week of your lives that you'd like to spend getting a little dirty?
Tamyra puts her hand in.
She goes, besides you, I knew you were in. She just shakes her head and smiles between the two of you, just giving each other shit. She looks over to Sha-dae.
Sha-dae snaps her fingers as a door appears. She looks at Isidore. I'm like, what do you think? Should we go? Isidore calls, and I'm like, we're in.
Okay. As long as you can stab stuff, I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
She says like that kind of just because she's a very stoic, dry sense of humor kind of person. She can be very flirtatious at times, but lately she's been trying to center herself a little bit. And she looks up at Brahmus in the doorway, and she stands up, and she has that large sword sitting beside her chair, and she takes it and puts it on her back, which is damn near the same size as the one that you wield, Brahmus. And she walks up and she looks at about 1.5 feet, 2 foot up to you. She walks past the rest of the group. She goes, and I'm not going to lie. I'd like to see what you could do.
Oh yeah.
About that moment, like I'd say he would step towards her, but
Yeah.
you'd hear what sounds like pennies rattling around in a can as Brahmus is walking and staring at Sha-dae before
Okay.
he comes to a stop in front of Valdara.
Okay, I like it. Do you say anything, or she just hears this come from you?
So she'd hear that, and then he would obviously just, there's a few things I've learned along the way. I don't mind to give up my time. I've had several hundred years. What's another week?
She processes that for a long minute, and then she kind of nods. She looks back at Tamyra with kind of a half grin, and gives you a knowing look, like that's the one she really wanted to get on board here. Like the other ones, that's fine, but this was something personal that she wanted to see happen.
Tamyra gives her a wink.
Yeah.
And then she gives Brahmus a thank you.
Okay. And then as she turns over and she looks at you and she goes, she looks at you, Oma, and then she looks down at your hand and looks at you again for a long moment. She goes, and do you think Aeolus could spare you for a little bit?
And
if not, that's perfectly
honestly
fine.
don't
You just
know.
tell me. Okay, with that, she says she honestly doesn't know, guys. And she's thinking about Gleandra and all the different responsibilities that she has for the time being. So outside of game, Alex, the next couple Sundays, do you think you might be free, or will you be doing finals and things like that? It's okay. I mean, I'm curious because they can help dictate this.
I'll be doing finals about the middle of the month,
Okay.
and then towards the end of the month I'll be busy with other things.
Okay. So we'll do that, and if you want to get in on this, that's perfectly fine. And if I can NPC you as a cleric moving forward, I can do that too when you're not in. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
but for right now, Oma seems undecided because she knows she has priorities here and stuff like that. You have Leandra saying,
Mhm.
leave her with some of the pain, but you have a responsibility. You haven't talked to Daehon in a day and a half.
Mhm.
There are things you're not quite sure about. So let's go ahead and say on that cliffhanger,
Mhm.
when she asks Oma, and there's that long pause, and everybody's kind of holding their breath, waiting to see what Oma says. Let's go ahead and call it quits for tonight because it's past 9:30. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
That's good.
Okay.
Sure, but I
And
will
then-
say that before we
yeah.
get off,
Yeah.
I did ask if we wanted Daehon to go with us because then I can like take time to go get him, and that way if he actually plays next weekend, he'll be with us.
Okay, cool. That'll work too. So
Damn.
after this, actually, we'll have that interaction first. We'll say, let's just say in your typical fashion that right before she got ready to ask Oma, you piped up.
Yeah.
You said, "I'm in," right? And then you would say something like what?
I was just like, I'm in, but should we bring Daehon? I mean, he's proven useful before. Obviously, I have my own other interior, like in
She's like
altered-
wink, wink, getting
Yeah.
up.
And as you're saying that, Valdara's just kind of looking at you like she's actually saying this out loud. This is beautiful. Like you're just saying there's this kind of reason, but there's not a reason. There could be kind of a reason, but he's useful.
But he's also
And-
like useful, and like he should probably come along with us, right? Should I go get him like right now?
So with that, Valdara looks at Tamyra and kind of starts shaking her head. Yeah. Like if
Tamyra at that point is just like, why not?
All right. So Sylowen leaves to go get Daehon.
Okay. So with that, we'll end it. And then think about what you want to do, Alex.
Okay.
And then I have a possible one other person that might be playing by next time we do this. And if that's the case, that'll be like a surprise person on the ship that I'll kind of throw in. And it could be Torsden. It could be Torsden. I could have someone that plays Rainlore from now on, so I don't have to play him. And I have another one. I have one of those nocturne creatures like the bat people. But this is a cleric of the grave version of one. So it's going to be a really interesting character. So those are all the different possibilities. And if any of you at all have any interest at all in picking up a second character to play or have some fun in that nature, all you got to do is tell me, and we can do that. Because Danny has like fucking 3. So, and right now he sent a message. Everybody see that where he's having to go back out tonight, but he'll be back in when he can.
Yeah.
So, and being new to the job, he's got to be there for that. So, but anyway, with
At
that,
least he's communicating. So
right, exactly. Yeah. Well, me and Danny grew up together, so that's a whole different story. Yeah, he definitely would. If not, I know where he lives. So, with that, I'll stop recording. And yes, Jeremy, I'll hit it right this time, buddy. And then we'll bullshit for 5 minutes and get off here as we always do. Once again, thanks everyone. This is really fun tonight for such a simple thing. Some really good role playing, and hopefully we'll get into this and get to kick the shit out of some tropical dinosaurs. And it'll be really, really cool. Hell yeah. So with that, thanks again. And were you going to say something, Heather?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. All right, you guys take care, and we'll see you next Sunday. And stop.